What is up? What's good, YouTube? We're back again with another video. You already know, man. This one's a reaction video to top 10 most epic anime fights of 2020, man. I hope you guys are having a good night or day wherever you guys in the world, man. But yeah, I haven't reacted to any anime videos on this channel. So yeah, this is my first time reacting to any anime fights or anything related to anime on this channel. But I do watch anime sometimes. I'm not the biggest fan of anime, but I do like anime, you know, in general. I do like anime. My favorite anime of all time is probably Avatar: The Last Airbender. I feel like a lot of people, for a lot of people, that's their favorite anime, just because, you know, a lot of people loved it, man. It's a classic anime. You can't. I know it's not like a Japanese anime, but like it's an anime regardless, you feel me? So let's get right into this and see what it has to offer us.
It didn't seem too long ago, but we're actually in the last few weeks of 2020 already. Time's flown by, largely in part to the situation of the world at large.
I mean,
nevertheless,
this is 2021 now, but 2020 did go by really fast, so yeah, he's right.
the recovery of the anime industry is a tale for the ages, and I still find myself amazed at Japanese resiliency that managed to still bring us these shows that we love. So for today, I'll be going through 10 of the best anime fights in 2020, because let's be honest, half of the guys who like shonen series like anime for the fantasy and the fights, and we'll be taking a look at the best of the both of them today. Bro. As a precaution, there will be...
Even with Avatar, I love the fights. I love the last fight with the Fire Lord and Aang. Like, that was like a classic. Like, that went so hard. I honestly watched that like so many times, the last fight.
Spoilers on this list, but I'll try to keep them to a minimum. Also, I won't be including stuff from fall 2020, even though I've already had some candidates in mind. I'll be saving that for the fall fights video, or maybe a volume 2 of this video. Now, before anything, I'd like you to subscribe and help this channel reach its next milestone. Your contribution would be much appreciated. We start the list with the fight where everyone teams up against Demon in Black Clover.
Black Clover? Dark Cloak Dimension Slash.
It's been a while, but I legitimately think that Black Clover's become an underrated show. It may be because of the bad publicity it had when it first aired, but it has become a really enjoyable show now, but not a lot of people still seem to be watching it. A battle shonen is nothing without good fights, but we see a prime example of what Black Clover brings to the table with this fight. This fight pretty much encapsulates what a shonen fight is. Tense circumstances, a seemingly unbeatable foe, old reliable allies pitching in and joining the fight with their own awesome stunts. Seeing Arsenal surpass his limits whilst the opening music plays in the background sent chills down my spine, really. The finishing move's probably one of my favourite Black Clover moments this year, period. It's too bad that many people sleep on Black Clover, but I think it's done pretty well for itself given the circumstances.
It's insane, bro. You don't even know what's going on.
Coming up next is a fight from Gleipnir. Shuichi and Claire versus Hikawa.
Gleipnir, Shuichi and Claire versus Hikawa. Man, I don't know any of these animes, honestly. Like, I guess they're like more underground animes, not like mainstream ones like One Punch Man and things like that. But yeah, Gleipnir. So that's the name of the anime. Damn, fighting a damn fucking teddy bear, man.
The dynamic duo of Shuichi and Claire had a tough customer as their first challenge while getting used to their powers. They'd barely gotten an idea of the whole coin-collecting business and their powers before they get shoved into the battle royale by Hikawa and her powerful limbs. The fight itself is not that swingy, as once Shuichi and Claire got a hang of things, they dispatched their first opponent without too much effort. The thing ends up with us getting a glimpse of Claire's ruthless side, but not before we get to see some great animation courtesy of Pine Jam. I think that the fight belongs here because it's one of the things that put Gleipnir on the map. Thanks to how the fight was done in a way that outdoes its manga counterpart, the encounter helped Gleipnir break through and become one of the more popular shows in the admittedly dry spring season. It then led the way to more amazing fights that we'll see down the line, but in terms of actual visuals, none of them come close to this one. We continue with something big. Misaka versus Doppelganger in the finale of Railgun T.
Misaka versus Doppelganger, a certain scientific Railgun T. Is that the name of it? That's a long-ass name for anime, bro. Damn.
Now, I know that this isn't the fight that I talked about the last time I featured Railgun T, but while that battle between side characters has all the makings of a grand fight, I think it just lacked a bit of oomph in terms of spectacle and scale compared to what we have as an ending to Railgun T. Where else could you see a giant Godzilla in anime and a showcase of how badass Misaka really is? I mean, before this, you'd probably think how she's one of the weaker level 5s thanks to how normal she seemed amongst the gallery of sociopaths or downright insane people. It makes you forget that Misaka is actually the third ranked among them. Well, look no further than this fight that caps off Railgun T's storied run, which sees her face off against a seemingly unbeatable foe with near-perfect adaptability. The run-in by the rest of Scavenger as uneasy allies also brought me joy when I first watched this finale. Now, I hope that this convinced you to give Railgun T a shot, especially if you enjoyed the previous seasons. For an anime on its third season...
I thought she fell to her death right there, bro. Holy shit, that scared the hell out of me.
Hasn't lost its edge ever since the series started a decade ago. Well, here's a battle featuring a side character now, as we move on to Berkoli versus Vector.
Berkoli versus Vector, Sword Art Online, War of Underworld. Sword Art Online. Man, that's a weird-ass name for anime, bro. Sword Art Online? I think it's just War of Underworld. Like, Sword Art Online is probably not the proper name for it, so...
The last core of Sword Art Online's War of Underworld went off to a fast start. After the controversial start to the season, I can see that a lot of people were brought back by the amazing fight that followed an episode after. And it wasn't Kirito's return that got people most excited. That would have to wait until around 5 to 6 more episodes. It was Berkoli's battle against Dark Lord Vector. Prior to this fight, we barely saw much of what Berkoli could really do, but this should prove that he more than deserves his moniker of being the legendary hero and the strongest Integrity Knight. Going toe-to-toe with the Lord of Darkness is next to impossible, but the leader of the Integrity Knights did it. As a novel reader, I can say that some details were omitted, which would have made the fight even more amazing, but I'm generally satisfied with what A1 gave us. This fight might not have been the most important one or the best adapted in this core, but in terms of visuals and presentation, this fight completely blows everything else out of the water. A1 really bringing their A game to their cash cow franchise.
Man, I love when, like, anime has, like, different sort of animations. They have, like, different, like... How do I say this? It's like a weird... Like, it's like a different... Like, animation, obviously. Like if you take, like, Castlevania... Like, that's an anime that came out, like, newly came out probably, like, 3 years ago. And if you compare that to Avatar, that's, like, 2 different types of animations. I feel like the more modern it gets, like, the better it gets. Like, you can see, like, Naruto and, like, Castlevania. It's, like, 2 different types of animations. But I feel like it just depends on the genre of anime as well. Like, if it's a different genre, like, if it's a darker genre, if it's more, like, an action-packed genre, it'll be, like, a different animation compared to, like, fantasy-type, like, anime, I guess. But yeah, I do like it if there's, like, different types of animations. But yeah.
We continue the battles against impossible obstacles with the entire sequence versus Tiamat in the last part of Fate Grand Order Babylonia. Now, I think I've cheated with this one a little bit. Why? Well, I won't be talking about a single fight, but I'll be compiling everything into a sequence. The whole sequence against Tiamat as she marches towards Uruk is nothing short of awesome. Noble phantasms being thrown everywhere, so many character arcs finding their course, some really amazing scenes like Quetzalcoatl's double noble phantasm and the Mash and Merlin combo. For me, it's this series of episodes that make Babylonia the most fun I've had in a Fate anime in a while. It helps that the music choice for these scenes are my jam, and along with the voice acting, it really enhanced these moments. If you're looking for a Fate anime to watch, make sure you give this one a whirl. Don't be intimidated with how it's supposed to be towards the end of the Grand Order storyline. You can completely watch Babylonia as a standalone without prior knowledge of Fate. We move on to a non-Japanese anime on the list, like this one from White Cat Legend.
White Cat Legend, bro.
If you've been following, I recently featured this fight a few lists back, and looking at the stuff that I've watched this year, I can proudly say that I made the right call. Looking at the year as a whole, this final fight still holds up really well. Like, you could watch it without context and still be entertained. That's not to say that the fight has no emotional weight behind it though, but this one I'm pretty sure...
Imagine if he dies from that. You can die from it if you're fucking human. Like, if you're not an anime character, you probably die from it, but yeah.
Most people like for its choreography and just how complicated each sequence is. It's a complete chore to animate, yes, but thanks to the amazing team who brought us this series, we got something so aesthetically pleasing. We don't have grand attacks like noble phantasms that take up 80% of the screen in explosions, but as some say, less is more and simple is better.
Wow.
If you've been paying attention to my videos lately, you won't be surprised to see this on the list.
Fire versus Demon.
Funky the 5 elements may be short, but it brings with it a kind of animation excellence that's been sorely...
This is what I'm talking about. It's a different animation. Like, if you take that and like that White Cat Legend, it's totally different, two styles of animation. So that's what I like to see, you know.
Lacking in a number of its contemporaries. Maybe it's due to being less mainstream and thus being under the radar. That way the team have less pressure and probably deal with less deadlines. Whatever the reason may be, 2 thumbs up for the work they did in this sequence. In fact, if you were to tell me which Fog Hill fight I have to feature, I'd consider this interchangeable with the bridge scene that I featured on another list. Make sure to check that video out too if you've got the time. Back to this topic though, this thing is insane. Come on, try playing the video in slow motion and you can see how much work got put into the sequence in order to give us this experience. I had a hard time following the action at times, and that's not a negative thing, not in this context. It instead adds to the experience of the scene, and it's an experience that you rarely get these days. You knew a My Hero fight is coming sooner down the line, didn't you? Wait no more now, because our next entry is Endeavor versus Hood.
I've heard of this anime, My Hero Academia.
The latest season of My Hero Academia really gave us one spectacular send-off. It shows off some lit visuals as well as a big redemption for everyone's favourite bad dad. It's a fight filled with high stakes because, quite honestly, I think that the whole of Japan is screwed if Endeavor and Hawks can't take down the high-end Nomu. When Hood began seeking out strong opponents, he got what he wanted, and it was a spectacle that we all got. The fight's not a stomp, but it's a very intense back-and-forth exchange with a lot of fake finishes. A lot of times you think that the fight's over, but the combatants just keep coming back. Plus, we get to see a plethora of Endeavor's moves that couldn't have been animated any better. It's just simply beautiful. I personally still put United States of Smash as my favourite fight, but this one's right up there too, in terms of how impactful it was.
Damn.
Second place on this list is Jin versus Devi from God of High School.
God of High School.
God of High School entered with a bang, but unfortunately it can't carry that momentum to the end. When critics...
This is like a more realistic type anime. Like, I guess One Punch Man wasn't that realistic, but this is more realistic than that.
It's called God of High School, an anime that's just full of fights. It makes you think that the fight should at least live up to the hype. Now, for the most part, I think the fights more than pull their weight and still make God of High School an exciting watch. At the forefront of many fights is Jin versus Devi. It's a tough decision for me, but I give this fight the nod because of the sheer hype and stakes it has going for it. We just saw Devi demolish his previous opponent, and we finally learned why he seems so hell-bent on winning, in the hopes of saving...
That knee to the face, bro. Holy shit. That would knock me out, bro. Anything on that, like in that fight, would have knocked me out anyway, but I'm just saying.
His friend, Davey, had taken on a much more sadistic turn at fighting, and this new fighting style surely gave Jin a run for his money. The actual fight has to be seen to be believed, as we got a brilliant barrage of attacks that showcase both fighters' intensities and will to win. The best part about it is that it ends with the classic happy ending for everyone, with bonds forged through fire and a renewed will to face tomorrow. You can find gems in the most unlikely of places, and that saying couldn't be any more true with the #1 entry for today's list, that one fight from Hitori no Shita. If any of you expected to get a fight this good from a Chinese anime, raise your hand. If you expected it to come from the third season of Hitori no Shita, keep your hands raised. Okay, now if you kept your hand raised, you know you're lying, okay? The series as a whole isn't too popular, and who would have expected this gem of a fight to be hidden in its third season of all places? Heck, I won't even consider it much of a third season, but more of a transition to a possible fourth season. Yet, in this unassuming transition season of a niche show, we have some of the sleekest and smoothest animation for a fight scene in as far back as I can remember. For how much is going on and how fast things are moving, it amazes me how the animators just knocked it out of the park with this one. In terms of dramatic stakes, the fight might be nowhere near the top, but in terms of animation and fight choreography, it certainly takes the cake for the best fights in 2020.
Nice. That's a badass right there, bro.
So, how did you find this
I
list?
don't even know if that's a female or not. Is that a female? Let me know in the comments below, guys.
Do you think that 2020 has been a good year in terms of anime fights? Are there other anime fights this year that I've missed out on? There's so much more that I'd love to hear from you on, so make sure to chime in and give me your thoughts through the comment section down below. As usual, if you enjoyed the list and want more, hit that like.
Okay, that was the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that reaction, man. Man, yeah, I don't know like any of these. I knew like one or two of these animes, but I don't know like a bulk of these animes. Like, I'm not that much of an anime fan, to be honest, but you know, I do enjoy a good anime. You know, if the storyline is good, if it's not too unrealistic. You know, obviously anime like is not realistic, to be honest, but like if it's too out of whack, like it's too unrealistic, I probably wouldn't watch it, because you know it's fantasy at that point. I don't really like fantasy animes that much. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that reaction, man. Make sure to drop me a like below if you guys enjoyed it. Make sure subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to drop me a comment below. Let me know what you want me to react to next. If there's enough comments for the same video, I will react to it. Make sure to check out the original video down in the description below. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.